Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of June the 12th, 2016. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a big week, and it's a big week because of a big conversation that is taking place. In fact, it's the second of three of these conversations that has been taking place since late last year between Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune right now are in a major conversation. And as this conversation is taking place, we are all collectively, absolutely collectively, but individually as well, we are being asked to choose compassion where it is that we would or we could choose restriction and separation. Now, this is true collectively. I think we're seeing this play out. And if you think about what was taking place in November, lots of high-profile events were taking place at that time. And particularly, and I made a video about this, even at that time I made a video about this, a couple videos about Saturn and Neptune and this particular conversation. And essentially, this is captured in, for example, the migrant crisis that is taking place. And how is it and where is it that we are going to see ourselves, and where is it that we are not going to see ourselves in others, and especially when we see others in distress and in pain. So there is that collectiveness of this particular energy, and we should notice that, be a part of the conversation now, but also within ourselves as well. So where is it that we've separated from something essential within ourselves? Where is it that we've disconnected from a sense of a higher wisdom, a higher purpose even, but really a higher connection? Where is it that we've disconnected ourselves from faith in ourselves, faith that as part of the tapestry of life and as part of all these different varying parts of ourselves, there is a perfection playing out, even if it isn't evident and even if we can't see it just yet. Where is it that that separation has been taking place, and how is it that we in our individual journeys can move towards greater wholeness? Where is it that we need to acknowledge what we otherwise reject? Where is it that we need to accept before meaningful and loving change can truly take place? So for some people out there, this is going to be a deeply personal journey. And really, I think that this is part of our our modern collective individual path, is having to deal with these questions. For some people, there may be a particular time when we have to deal with these questions. For others, this is a question that comes up again and again over the course of a lifetime. But certainly in our modern world, more than ever before, we are being asked to integrate and to accept what it is that we might have picked up some belief or some message that was not lovable, or that was something that we needed to reject about ourselves. And that can be a particularly painful thing, especially when it's something that is deeply something that we identify with very personally, or that is otherwise deeply meaningful to us. What makes this time, this second exact moment in this extended conversation unique, what makes it different, is that this time we have Saturn already retrograde. But what we also have taking place this week is Neptune standing still in the sky and beginning to go backwards before the week is over. So if you're a regular friend and fan, if you've been watching me for a while, you've been watching me through different retrogrades, different directs, or as astrologers call it, stationary retrograde, stationary direct. If you've been watching me that long, you know that I always affirm, that I say, when a planet is standing still in the sky and preparing to change directions, that is when that planet is at its most potent and most heightened energies. Now, in a conversation between Saturn and Neptune, Neptune wins. Whatever planet is further out, whatever planet is slower moving, to the ancients, this was thought to be the more powerful planet, the more dominant planet within a given conversation. And so we have right now Neptune standing still, already in a dominant position in this conversation, but now standing still in a heightened sense of its own energies. And that becomes the dominant energy now. as I look at this, it will be compassion in this conversation. And since late last year, and this will be a lesson that shows up for us again in November when the third and last conversation of this kind takes place between these two planets, and then they'll go on their separate ways. They won't speak like this for many years to come, many, many years to come. And of course, hopefully, I'll be here to talk about it then. I do believe I'll be here to talk about it then, but this is further down the road. And as I look at this particular conversation taking place right now, it speaks very strongly to our choosing, yes, compassion, right? And choosing faith, choosing connection, choosing to move beyond that sense of separation. And again, this is an individual journey for a lot of us. Choosing to see spirit in every single aspect of our lives. Choosing to see spirit in everyone and everything. And seeing the mystery play out, believing in the mystery and the willingness to see it starts to reveal it to us. But I will also say this with this given conversation. Neptune is standing still, okay? When Neptune stands still, it can be a time of some uncertainty. It can be a time of confusion. It can be a time of maybe seeing things in a heightened way that is not necessarily grounded. And I don't think that's too much of a risk now because, again, Saturn is there keeping that Neptune in check. Saturn is sort of the opposite energy. Neptune is, you know, if you feel it, that's all that matters. Everything is energy, so we can live in that place, right? If energy is the only real thing, then it doesn't really matter what's happening with the physical. We're going to just be about the energetic, spiritual energy. But Saturn says, no, the physical is where the power is. The physical is the reality of any given situation. And Saturn says that it's one thing, whatever, you want to believe something, that's awesome, good for you. That's Neptune. Neptune is all about belief. But Saturn says if it's not actually changing your life in a tangible way, if it's not making you act any different, if you're not being different, if you're not acting different, if your deeds aren't different, then what is the point? Then it doesn't really matter. Faith without works is dead. Now, this is actually, I've been looking into this recently, been inspired to look into this recently. And that phrase is actually kind of controversial. I mean, like revolutions have been based on that phrase because there are people who came along, historical figures who said, no, you alone are enough to know that you are loved. You don't have to do anything. It's about you being and receiving divine love. That is enough. Your faith is enough. That's Neptune. That's what Neptune says. Your faith is more than enough for you to have all the love in the world and for you to feel connected and know that you're guided. But Saturn says it's got to show up in your life. It's got to show up in your tangible reality. Now, this can be a really healthy conversation, and this type of conversation, just very archetypally, can represent people who, sort of come to a place where they realize that they have addiction issues, for example, right? Because way too much Neptune can suggest escapism. And wherever it is that too much escapism has been taking place, Saturn grounds that energy, gets us honest with that energy. So that is part of the gift here. That is part of the possibility here, should we choose to accept it and be open to it. But with a sky like this, with planets like this, thankfully, I think we will also see the advantage to taking the universe up on the offer of a reality check. And that is because of what has been taking place, now reaching a breakthrough moment. So all else being equal, if Saturn and Neptune weren't doing what they're doing, I would say this is the week when the energy changes up, switches up, gets sweet, gets nice, gets much, much easier. But that's not totally the case, right? Because Saturn and Neptune are speaking as part of the perfect plan, as part of the perfect mirror that the sky is. We are still having to deal with these deeper spiritual and honest evaluation issues, while the confusion and the uncertainty that has been with us over the last 2 weeks with this grand mutable cross that has been taking place, as we've been having to deal with that energy and not really being sure, knowing that something's got to change, being ready for change, being kind of scared, but kind of at a point where we know something's got to give. Now comes the reward. Now comes the insight, the little epiphany that allows us to take inspired action, that motivates us, that shows us that what felt so confusing and so uncertain actually now makes a whole lot more sense. Actually now starts to feel, thank goodness that change, those changes started taking place, because now I know what I need to do to find my groove. Now I know what I need to do to make change happen that will excite me, that will liberate me, that will enlighten me. That's the kind of energy we're moving towards now. And as I look at this sky, I, for one, am incredibly hopeful. I think that we are about to have all kinds of personal realizations and collective realizations as well, where we are asked to choose love and immediately rewarded for it. We are asked to choose a higher path, to see things in a higher, more enlightened sense, and instantly, or very quickly, rewarded for it. And that is because Venus and the Sun, still traveling close, but Venus and the Sun will speak in harmony with Uranus. Now, this is the type of conversation that astrologers call a sextile. And that means it is harmonious, but it's the kind of harmony that says, okay, you've got to take responsibility for what change you want. And if you do that, then the rewards will come, and you can see, it gives you control to see how, okay, if I take this action, I can make something good happen. And that can be really exciting. That can be better than if that good just lands in your lap. That can be better than if something good just poof showed up for us, because it is a good that we earn. It is change that helps us become better as a result of our focus and as a result of our realizations translating into action. So there should be, on a collective level, sort of light bulb moments happening for us as well. There's lots of truth energy with this, but still a desire to keep confusion going. Okay, so just be mindful of that again as a collective. I do want to say, like I mentioned, the migrant crisis. It's very interesting to me as I look at this, because a big part of the story that has been taking place has had to do with water, has had to do with people escaping and making their way through water and utilizing that as a road, if you will, towards new lands and towards the hope of whether it's salvation, whether it is change, whether it is escaping circumstances that are very difficult. Water has been the passageway that has allowed that to happen. And it is water as a passageway that has also gotten our attention. It is because of what has been taking place on the seas and because of the difficulties that people have been having, the lives that have been lost. Because of that, we've had more attention paid to this. It's come to characterize in some ways the journey that people take to overcome difficult circumstances. And so the fact that Neptune is so active, God of Seas is so active, I think is very poignant in this symbol. So I think we can expect, as a collective, we can expect all of us kind of paying attention to what's happening on the waterfront, and it should be events that take place because of water, on water, that help us to tap into that more compassionate spirit. Also this week, planets are moving. The planets are on a move, and it is Mercury coming home to the sign of Gemini and Venus moving into the sign of Cancer. So Mercury coming home to the sign where we had all this interesting energy take place. Now, here's the thing. The Sun and Venus just moved through Gemini, speaking to all these power players in the sky. Now Mercury's going to do so, but there's a difference here because Mercury is home. It's in its home sign. So that gives Mercury an advantage, and that gives the sign of Gemini an advantage as well. So if you're one of the mutable signs out there, lots of mutable signs have been reaching out to me. So if you're a Gemini, a Virgo, a Sag, or a Pisces, these signs have been reaching out to me on social media and saying, stuff is happening, which happens sometimes, right? But especially these signs have been sort of in sensitive positions to these larger configurations that have been playing out. Now here comes Mercury, and in a sense, yes, sort of bringing activation to what has been activated the last 2 weeks. But the difference is because Mercury is strong, we're able to make sense of it. And we're able to understand things on a more mind level, regardless of what sign you are. And we're able to articulate what up until now maybe just felt kind of like frustration or like an underlying uncertainty. Now we can articulate it. Now we can give voice to it. And because we give voice to it, we transform it. The act of speaking is an act of transformation. And I don't necessarily mean just voice. I mean communication. Any communication is infinite. Any communication is transformative in the experience itself. Sharing in the experience itself is a transformative experience. I'm reminded as I look at the sky back in graduate school, I remember we had like this whole one session on Iamblichus and Plotinus. So these people, these men, were what are called Platonists. So basically they really liked Plato. They studied Plato. They were really into his ideas. And these two people in particular were really in some ways thought to be, when we look at like Western esotericism, Western occult practices as well, they're sort of like the godparents, if you will, of the modern Western esoteric movement and practices that we find in our world today. And what they did, and a part of what they did, of course, was observe the stars and utilize astrology. And particularly, they utilized astrology to time their practices, or to time rather their ceremonies. And what I mean by that is, you know, they had an intention, right? What is occultism after all? It is ultimately expressing a desire to the universe and emotionally aligning yourself with that. And so the law of attraction right now, that is very popular and it's been spoken about for many centuries as well, that is sort of a cousin, a bit of a, maybe a distant cousin, if you will, but it is a cousin of occult practices, of occultism. So without the ceremony, of course. So what these men did is they would like gather their tools, right? They would say, and this is actually something that was said by Plotinus, you can gather all your tools, right? You can time your ritual. You can know that at this hour, there's going to be this planetary alignment and this angel will be more readily available to you. And you can align with these different energies more perfectly if you have these correspondences, if you have these particular metals, particular herbs, particular oils, whatever the case may be, right? Your incense, you can have everything ready. You could time it to the exact second. But until you speak the word, your intention has not manifested. And when you speak the word, it has manifested. It is already real. It is in the world. It is realized. That was their understanding, that creation begins, and creation is sound. It is the word. It is expression. And I think that's why so many religions, like when you read their sacred texts, they start with something to the effect like, in the beginning there was word, first there was sound, right? This is sort of a sacred concept that we see throughout cultures all over the world, where their sacred texts begin with this concept of starting with sound and then having words form as a result, having creation result from things beginning as sound. And I also think that's why, like, I think about how Sufi practices include music, include poetry. And a part of that belief is that to know the creator, you have to create. And in order to create, you have to actually do something that involves your creativity, like music, like sound, like singing, like instruments, like poetry, like dance. And we've seen amazing sort of representatives of this throughout history. I'm thinking of Rumi in particular, who's been getting a lot of attention lately in the news. Rumi's spirit certainly is enduring, but he's a great example of this, a Sufi who utilized his creativity to tap into source, to plug into source, to commune with the divine. To know the creator, you have to create. That is one of the guiding principles there. And once you speak it, it has already been realized. As I look at this sky, I think that that's part of the larger spiritual lesson playing out here. And to speak with love, to speak from heart, and to speak with a sense of connection, your connection to family, okay? Venus moving into Cancer, love of family, knowing that the world is family. And then, of course, there is Neptune saying that it's all just an illusion. We all are each other. We all are connected. And yes, it is a creative spirit. It could be a musical spirit, Mercury there, spirit expressed in sharing and communication, in word. That is going to be our way to manifest a greater world as a collective, but also to manifest a better life for ourselves as individuals, a more peaceful life, a more integrated life, a life where we truly feel settled with all these different parts of us, accepting them and loving them all. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction. I'm truly so grateful for it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. It does mean so much. I love our interactions. Please keep them coming. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and the YouTube comments as well. Lately, I've been active on Instagram, and a lot of you have been finding me as a result. Thank you so much. It's so exciting. I think I had about 2 weeks ago, I had just a couple hundred, and then now it's well over 1,000, just so quickly it's been growing. So thank you so much for that. I always hope to share things on there that are inspiring, but there's also stuff that's a little bit more personal, like me without makeup is actually on there, yes. But I think it's part of the fun, and I think it's part of sharing, and I don't know, I just think it's so human, right? It's so natural, and ultimately, like I say, everything else is just play. There's you, there's your spirit, there's my spirit, there's the interconnection of all of us, and everything else is just dressing, it's just fun to be had. So I think that my Instagram sort of covers that. It covers the fun stuff, but it also, of course, because it's such an important part of who I am, a part of the spirituality that I'm exploring and hoping to more consciously strengthen within myself, ends up being shared in just about everything I do. And that reflects itself as well there. So the Instagram is Nadiya_Shah. For some reason, I ended up with multiple accounts. So there's lots of Nadiya Shahs, and a lot of them are me. But that's the one that's really active, is Nadiya_Shah. And I love meeting you guys out there. Thank you. Thank you for our interactions. Always so grateful for it. Sometimes I'm asked questions that are a little bit more personal, that have to do with your unique situation. And if that's the case, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that. Look at your unique chart and answer your specific questions. And you can learn more about that on my website, nadiyashah.com. I do have a little announcement in regards to that. As you may remember, a while back, I had paused one of the tiers, if you will, of the order. So when you go on my website and you look under personalized horoscopes, the personalized horoscopes are tiered. There's the regular, which is basically a 3-month delivery, or a 2-week delivery, or a 2-day delivery. So there's the regular, rush, and deluxe orders. So based on what you would like to pay, you can choose to have the delivery. It was 2 months, now it's 3 months because of the volume of orders. So there's the 3-month option, the 2-week option, the 2-day option. So the 2-day and the 2-week option are going to stay for now. They're going to stay constant. But if you may remember, a couple of months back, I had to pause the regular option. And a lot of you wrote in and asked me to bring it back. And I'm so grateful for that, so grateful for your trust. And so I did bring it back. And now I'm going to have to pause that again, the regular priced option. And I will be pausing that at the end of June, at the end of this month. So I did promise you guys I'd give you a heads up before I had to do that. As I said, the rush option, the 2-week option, and the 2-day option will still be available. But if you know that price is an issue for you, and if you know, or you just want it at the lower price, that's cool, it's all good. That is available right now until the end of the month. And I'm really looking forward to announcing some amazing stuff late this month. But for now, yes. So if you know that you want it, I don't know when that will be coming back, but it will be paused at least for a couple of months, so that I can make sure that I'm completing the orders that are there and also giving energy to the things that I'm hoping to share with you, expanded things, because of course everything I share, absolutely everything, has to do with affirming that the universe is wise and loving. That is the motivation behind all that I do, is to affirm that in the universe. It's something I believe passionately. It's something I believe in all of me. And even when I have my moments, right, I remember that. I remember that truth, and it guides me. It guides me to understand, and it guides me to see how, no matter what circumstances I'm in now, but also that I've been in. Like when I think about, and again, I'll share a lot more of this as we get to the end of the month, and particularly, I can give you a heads up because I'm super excited about this, but September 1st will be my 10-year anniversary as a full-time astrologer, and I'm planning some really cool things. Again, I'll talk about it later, but when I think about it, I get really emotional because I think about like all the things that led me to that decision to become a full-time astrologer, to launch my website. My website was launched at midnight, September 1st, 2006 in Toronto at midnight. So I think about all the things that led me to that moment and how I didn't know how that moment would take me on in this amazing adventure that I am now, and all the challenges and the pain and the soul searching that led me to that moment, that led me to the realization that this is something that I was meant to do. And it is such a blessing. At the time, it felt like so much. And now I see how that was part of the plan to move my life, my individual journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. And my hope with these videos, with everything I share, is to do just that, to affirm that in the universe, to remind you of that as well, to infuse a spirit of hope and inspiration in your life and in the world and in the universe. I'm so grateful that you're here to be part of that and to magnify that energy with me. Thank you so much. So once again, because I did promise to let you guys know, to remind you, and I will remind you again next week as well, the regular priced 3-month wait list horoscope, personalized horoscope, will pause at the end of this month. After that, the 2-week option, the 2-day option will still be available. But if you know that you want a personalized horoscope and you don't mind the wait and you'd like it at that reduced price, then please do consider going onto my website and we can make that happen. It would be such a privilege to look at your chart, of course. Okay, so how all this wonderful stuff taking place this week? And it really is wonderful stuff. Speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week, we've got that Saturn and Neptune speaking again. And to me, as I look at this has to do with your values, your vision, of what you'd like to have or to be or to do, what you want to start doing so you can start manifesting differently. And where is it that it feels like, for whatever reason, it's not falling into place or not coming together as smoothly as you may like? This particular conversation can also speak to, in all honesty, as I look at this, if you are involved in any kind of higher education matter, legal matter, political matters, these types of even citizenship matters as well, there can be some delays, there can be some missteps, there can be some confusion. So you just want to be mindful of that. Make sure that all your documents are totally up to date, and that you're doing things totally legit, because the possibility of delays or the possibility of things not being understood as intended, it is there. So you want to watch and make sure no one's cheating off your test or your eyes aren't wandering. That is something like, that's the kind of thing that you may want to watch. And as long as you are, and as long as you know that you're using this energy to ask yourself some very important personal questions about belief, about drive, about vision, about desire, and about what it is that you're going to visualize, what it is you're going to work and put into place now so that you can get where you want. If you ask yourself those important questions and show a willingness to take action and do the work, the universe will line up for you and show you the way. And that is indicated by these wonderful conversations taking place between Venus and the Sun and Uranus in your sign. This is light bulb moment all over it. But if it follows up with action, it's that much more meaningful and that much more important. So this suggests if you can talk to anybody, like talk as you're walking around your neighborhood, talk as you're waiting in line wherever it is that you go to buy what you need or to get your coffee or whatever the case may be. Have those conversations with people because they can actually open a window for you. Now that might be practical, but it might just be a window within your own heart, within your own soul, to show you the best way forward for you. And also in some cases, it'll just change your energy. It'll help switch it up to help you see how what's taking place is actually to your advantage. And that's sort of like what you're on the precipice on. I see you almost like waiting for that moment when the penny drops or the light comes on and you realize how what's been taking place actually has been a good thing, actually has been moving along to your advantage this whole time. When it comes to matters of love, talking reigns supreme. The more conversations you can have, the more sharing you can do on a heart-based level, on a soul-based level, the more you're willing to give on those levels as well, the more that you are going to find that you receive positive outcomes, positive changes. Now, the great thing when we have Venus speaking with Uranus like this, great thing is romantic surprises tend to go pretty good. So someone may flirt with you, and whether or not you're interested, ends up being something meaningful to you. It ends up being something nice, and it adds a different way of looking at yourself. Or at least it gives you someone to talk to in that particular moment. So romantic surprises can actually go pretty well with this as well if you're in an established bond. And if you are in an established bond and you feel inspired to like give a serenade or to say something, allow it to come forward, because this particular sky does suggest that you find the perfect words that make not only it feel like all things are possible for the two of you, but absolutely allows love to be possible to you now, to be fostered, and to grow that much stronger. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we have got your ruling planet Venus speaking in sweet harmony with Uranus. As I look at this, it suggests that if there's been any feeling of stagnation, any feeling of frustration in particular, that's been taking place over the course of the last couple of weeks, this is where the energy starts to change. This is where inspiration comes, creativity comes. This is where you start to feel a sense of lightness, a sense of breakthroughs, and a sense of progress all around, but particularly where it comes to your finances. Now, some Taurians out there have experienced some financial changes, some financial turns. Maybe it was self-initiated. Maybe it was you who decided that you need to make changes in terms of how you were making your money or where you were making your money. For others out there, it might not have been self-initiated, but this is where the advantages start to come. This is where you start to get new insights, new creativity, and even new opportunities as well. Very well could show up for you, much by surprise, but very much by delight, given this particular sky. And it seems to be especially that much more meaningful to you as events transpire now, and really lights you up to think about your financial prospects now, but particularly the financial prospects that you can work towards. There's something about working towards a dream that really is the best of being human that comes forward. And that's part of the energy that you start accessing this week. We do, of course, have that conversation playing out, that larger conversation between Saturn and Neptune. As I look at these, there is a need with this particular energy for you to be mindful of, like sort of what they call other people's money, right? Grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns, any kind of credit cards, benefits. With this particular configuration, there can be a little bit of uncertainty around that. So again, if your financial situation changed and you thought you could go and apply for like unemployment insurance or something like that, it's possible, but it looks like it's going to be a process that is asking more than you might have realized, or the questions that are being asked are particularly poignant. And so there might be a little bit of a process there, but again, I see you being so inspired, and I see financial possibilities just opening up to you, that even with that uncertainty, even with that stress, you certainly find your way to smooth things over. And the answer really is in trusting your inspiration to take you there. For those of you open to love, this particular sky can be really nice for you. Venus being your ruling planet, speaking with Uranus, can bring some lovely love-related surprises just showing up for you. That's the thing about surprises. They have a way of doing that. But it helps you to see yourself differently in the process. Now, there might be a sort of a connection here that has to do with money. So it might be that someone you're interested in romantically, you have an interaction with them, a conversation with them, and it gets you thinking about the possibilities for your life. It gets you thinking about the possibilities that you may have for things like how you can make more money. So it's interesting how love can do that. Love can inspire you in so many different ways, and love certainly can inspire you on a financial level this week. And that's true if you're in an established bond as well. So this can be a time when you feel that sense that because you have love, you have options. Because you have love, you are prosperous. And that certainly is true. I remember a friend of mine said to me many years ago, love gives you options. Love gives you options. And it's so true. There is love creates and is part of an energy of abundance. And that makes so many things possible that might not otherwise be available to us. And love certainly is going to show you that this week. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week, your ruling planet Mercury returns to your sign, comes back to your sign after being gone for a good year or so, which is about as long as it takes Mercury to go all the way around the zodiac. Mercury's not ever really far from the sun, so basically as the sun goes, Mercury's kind of hanging out, never more than 2 signs away. So about once a year or so, you get Mercury coming into your sign, and this is that moment for you. Mercury, of course, is your ruling planet, and this is like a coming home for you. Or rather, a better way to put it is a coming to awareness that is taking place for you. So you are waking up to yourself. You are becoming more fully aware about who you are and what you really want, body, mind, and spirit, and heart as well. So this is going to speak to you in a bunch of different ways. Do keep in mind we have this larger conversation playing out, of course, between Saturn and Neptune. Both these planets are in what we call mutable signs. You're a mutable sign, which just means you'll be feeling this energy a little bit more closely than others might. But all of us out there are going to be feeling this sense of wanting to take inspiration and ground it into reality. In some way, that integration of these different parts of ourselves are seeking to take place. And for you in particular, this energy is speaking in the context of love and in the context of the big picture that you have for your life and the bigger things you desire to manifest. Now, here's the thing. These are big energies, okay? And they're speaking in big ways. So you can focus on the big things, or you can focus on the smaller things that are in front of you, because that's where you're actually going to find happiness. That's where you're actually going to find resolution. So in love, these lessons may very well play themselves out in love. If you are in an established bond, it may feel like you wonder, how can I be with this person for 10 years? You might have one of those moments, okay? Possible with an energy like this. But the thing is, first of all, let me just say, I think anybody who's in a long-term relationship has those moments sometimes, okay? So it's a sign you're really, really normal, whatever that's worth. But what's also really interesting is that you do have Venus speaking in sweet harmony with Uranus, along with the Sun as well in your sign. So as I look at this, this does suggest that if you focus on what you love about this person, it will be clear as day that you love this person. And it will lighten your load, and it will make your interaction with this person that you love that much more easier, that much more sweeter. And it will give it a sense of understanding what matters and what doesn't, what's worth focusing on and what doesn't. Now, that doesn't mean if you've got some serious issues with your partnership that you know need to be resolved, of course, those serious issues may be there, and you may need to work on resolving them. You'll be able to identify that. However, there's also something to be said for having the awareness of where it is that, at least for right now, you can appreciate something that brought you with this person to begin with. This is an energy of freedom. So whether that's freedom from thought patterns that have made it challenging for you to have the kind of love that you would like with this person, or that's actually the person themselves, right? Ultimately, there will be a bit of a respite, a bit of liberation, and it could be a big liberation as well if you really know you're with somebody who's not the right person for you. But also, it comes down to you, right? Because the Sun is speaking with Uranus as well. So it's about you seeing yourself differently, seeing yourself more strongly, seeing that you can feel differently, that you can understand the motivations of your heart differently and who you are differently, and letting that be the guiding principle to your actions, and especially your guiding principle to your actions this week. If you're open to meeting someone new, lovely love surprises, okay? So don't try to, I will just say this, right? Like with a sky like this, a part of the learning is going to be in the context of love. And so there can be with this, like sort of a hope of what could be, and then feeling like it's not meant to be. That can be some of the energy here. And yet you've got that beautiful conversation with Venus and Uranus, which says you realize and you know, and life is showing you that you actually do have quite a few options right in front of you, or at least showing up right in front of you this week. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we've got an active sky, and particularly active in the sign just before yours, but then that trend starts to shift before the week is over. So let's take it one at a time. We've got Venus and the Sun and the sign just before yours, speaking in harmony with Uranus. Uranus right now at the very top of your sky. So as I look at this, this is a breakthrough in the realm of your career, or at the very least in your own energy and your acceptance of greater progress in the realm of your career. So this can end up being something really nice for you and playing out in really lovely ways. So if there's been any kind of internal resistance to having the kind of progress that you want, this is where you start to feel things really clear out. This can also be someone working behind the scenes to open up greater opportunity to you. But this can also be that thing that turns within you that allows you to do something that you can feel really good about, that you can feel really proud of, that allows you to just push a project or a certain role just over the top and making it something very special and uniquely your own. Of course, we do have that larger conversation still playing out between Saturn and Neptune. As I look at that, that does suggest that, look, if you're just very focused on what is taking place in the workplace, okay? So if you're just focused on workplace stuff, because that stuff, it looks like it could end up just where the power is this week, where the gains are to be made, is career, big picture. If you've got anything that's like a day job, or if you've got anything you're doing that's sort of like sludge work, right? That you just really don't like doing, it's a little part of what you do, or maybe a big part of what takes up your time, but maybe it's tedious, maybe it's too routine, maybe it's something that is not resonating with what you truly desire to do. This is where you're going to recognize it. And this is where you're going to start saying to yourself, okay, we got to do something about it. Either you have to change your energy around it, you've got to change your thoughts around it, or you've got to change the tasks and start, whether it's delegating them, or whether it's just finding a different day job that's a little bit more enjoyable. That's the type of energy that's playing out on a larger sense. But the power really is in the more immediate sense, and the power is when you think really big picture, big goals, aim high. You do that, you will absolutely have all kinds of breakthroughs taking place now. Before the week is out, Venus will enter your sign, and I focused on this in the love-focused horoscope for your sign for this month. And Venus moving into your sign is truly lovely. It is true progress set to take place. When Venus moves into your sign, it brings with it love. It brings with it beauty. It brings with it softness. Right now, Venus, as it enters your sign, will just allow you to appreciate your worthiness to be loved, and will allow you to just enjoy life more, to relax a little bit. Now, as Venus is moving through your sign, she's going to have some interesting conversations in the weeks to come. I'll be here to talk about it then, but let's just say that the universe is setting you up to have a particularly active few weeks in the realm of love. If you're open to meeting someone new, you should just be like, you know, as they say, what do they say? Like flies to honey. Like you are the honey. They are coming. They are showing up for you. And if you are in an established bond, this is just the kind of circumstances you need to allow yourself to feel that sense of bliss, really. You know that feeling when you're with somebody and you really love them and you hug them and you love their smell? That is a type of bliss that you become acutely aware of now. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week, we've got a beautiful sky playing out, and especially for you, the beauty is magnified, and that is because we have Uranus in a fire sign speaking in harmony with Venus and your ruling luminary, the sun. As I look at this particular sky, it does suggest that you are going to be feeling a sense of friendship. You're going to be feeling a sense of possibility, a sense of lovely surprises thanks to the people you know, the social circle you have, or other people introducing you to other people that ends up creating just sweetness and softness and even practical, tangible opportunities for you this week. Of course, we have this larger conversation playing out as well with Neptune and Saturn, as I spoke about at length in the introduction. That is something that you are going to want to watch, because as I look at that particular energy, it speaks to your heart and matters of heart going through a change. And so as I look at this, you know, if you are open to meeting someone new, you might flirt with somebody and they turn out to be somebody totally different. So just keep that in mind, okay? And that is when you're like flirting with someone that maybe you don't know, okay? So just be mindful of that. Now that's more about people who are open to meeting someone new. If you are in an established bond, there should be matters of whether it's fun, it might be children, whether you're in an established bond or not. But these are going to be areas of life that you're looking at in the context of what you are ultimately thinking needs to change. And so sometimes it is some situation, maybe your kid is in a certain school that isn't so great, maybe your kid needs to change some patterns. How can you help them? How can you make it so that they grow into the types of people you want? So you have that foresight. How is it that you need to make a change? How is it that you need to let go of some pattern so that you can be a more effective parent, so that you can really enjoy the experience of being a parent? These are the types of situations that can show up now. And if you're in an established bond, with this given sky, there is that promise here that if you do your own work, love itself will start to look different, will start to grow up, and will start to feel more stable. But it really is, the onus is on you being honest with yourself and digging deep. But that doesn't mean it's all serious, right? There's still lots of fun energy to be had here, and the fun energy in particular plays out with Venus and Uranus. If you are getting to know friends, hanging out with friends, with the one you love, with friends, or just in some way being social, right? That is how you turn the energy. That is how you minimize what might otherwise be not so easy, and you magnify where it is that the universe is working overtime to make things easy, to make things turn around, and to make things surprisingly lovely for you. If you are open to it, this can also be a time when a friend expresses genuine affection for you, much to your delightful surprise. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we've got an active sky playing out. Now, where the kudos are, where the benefits are, where it is that things seem to be going swimmingly well for you is in the realm of your career. So if you are one of those Virgos who over the last 2 weeks has felt some uncertainty as you're navigating your career path, whether it's relationships with the higher ups, whether it's just career opportunities, promotional opportunities, are they showing up for you or not? If you have felt that you are navigating waters that are less than clear, this is where the breakthroughs start to come. This is where things start to make sense. And there should be at least one tangible opportunity that shows up for you in the realm of career, in the realm of achievement and accomplishment. Now, if you're not really on the career track and you're not thinking that way, then this is going to help you to understand more clearly and feel more in alignment with life purpose. And the thing is that how you understand life purpose has changed. Something has adjusted for you. Something has started to shift. And so as you look at what's happening with you and as you look at what's taking place in your spirit, in your soul now, it's almost as if you come to understand what's worth giving energy to and what isn't differently. What it is that really gives your life a sense of meaning and direction and what no longer does. And I think that some of you out there might be a little bit surprised. It's almost like something that you might have wanted, that you once fought for, now just does not even hold the same kind of energetic pull to you anymore as you find something that feels much more satisfying, or at least you realize that you've been living something and you found yourself in a pattern, in a role that is much more satisfying than you thought it would be. Now, when it comes to matters of love, we've got Venus at the very top of this sky. And with Venus in this particular position, it's all about the big picture and it's all about thinking about the long term. So if you're in an established bond, this can bring with it a really nice agreement as to the direction that the two of you are taking together, and the goals that you have, the larger goals you have as you move forward into your future together. If you are open to meeting someone new, be mindful that this can make, whether it's bosses or people who are in a position of some authority or some power, can make these types of people particularly interesting to interact with, whether they're flirting with you, whether you find yourself drawn to them. At the end of the day, this is Gemini energy, so keep it light, keep it fun, and you'll find yourself enjoying events, really, love events, as they transpire for you. So you can expect at the very least some kind of flirtatious exchange that puts a smile on your face. Of course, we have this larger conversation playing out, so do keep that in mind. You are a mutable sign at the end of the day, so it's important to be really gentle with yourself as Neptune and Saturn are having this conversation. Neptune standing still just does say that partnerships right now can be a little hard to pinpoint, a little hard to really understand as clearly. So even with these light love moments, still, like where it comes to love, where it comes to an established bond in particular, there may be a feeling that you wish you could get or understand what's really going on in some matter of your partner. Or if you are not an established bond, there might be a feeling that of just being aware of what hasn't worked in the past. Now, of course, don't give in to that, because there's so much that is so light and lucky that is taking place now. So focus on that, and you will find that any kind of free-floating feelings of uncertainty about your future are quickly dissolved as you enjoy the moment and start to appreciate the options and just the goodness, right? The kindness, the fun that is available to you now. Hello, fabulous Libra. Venus and the Sun are in a super harmonious position for you and fellow air sign Gemini. You add to this Uranus speaking in harmony with this particular placement. As I look at this, this does suggest that you will feel very quickly, almost like a snap of the fingers, back in your element, and you will feel like the world and its people are on your side, are riding with you in some way. Now, where it is that you do want to be mindful, pay a little bit of attention, is the area of the workplace, okay? Now, when I say pay attention, what I mean is be patient, do your best, surrender the rest. And that is because this conversation playing out between Saturn and Neptune. Now, Saturn is in a harmonious position for you, which is great, okay? Saturn is in a position right now, and Saturn is a planet that goes well with your sign. So essentially what that means is you're able to access the best of Saturn. And so as these planets are speaking, it does suggest that while your head is on straight, you're seeing things right, people in the workplace might be, whether they're creating drama, whether they're just not very aware, or whether it just feels, and I gotta say, it may feel like there's some not honest stuff happening in the workplace as well, maybe with a coworker. With all that, you can decide how much you want to get involved or not. Now, this is only going to speak to a small percentage of you out there, but I do want to put it out there. Just be mindful of that. And also, if you're self-employed or you're working on some projects, again, you just want to be mindful that you are accurately assessing what projects require, accurately assessing your deadlines, your timeframes. Are you communicating properly with the people that you're working with? All of this is going to be a factor in your success. But regardless, when we have such good energy playing out in your element, it's like you are able to bring forward your best. And regardless of what may crop up in the workplace or with your work assignments, that energy that is playing out, that brings forward your best, ensures that you're able to speak up for yourself and you're able to garner support for what you know is the best way forward. When it comes to matters of love, we do have Venus moving through a part of the sky for you that has to do with the great adventure. And so this is possible if you're open to meeting someone new, that someone who represents a great adventure presents themselves to you now. It is also possible with this given sky that if you are in an established bond, that the two of you start planning a great adventure together. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we've got this active sky playing out, and particularly Saturn and Neptune that are the strong power players now. We do have Neptune in a fellow water sign, which means that you're able to access that energy that much more easily. But Neptune is a very dreamy energy and doesn't necessarily like to be accessed necessarily. It's hard to hold Neptune, right? Neptune kind of moves through, moves with, not necessarily is the kind of energy that you're going to hold, but it is an energy you're going to feel. And it's an energy of faith, and it's a faith that's rooted in a sense of self-worthiness. So it has to do with confidence. It has to do with knowing that there's something within you that has some kind of higher purpose, higher mission playing out. And by connecting to that, you're able to bring a level of magic, of inspiration to what otherwise may be challenging or may be mundane. And what looks like may need some of your attention has to do with your finances. So this is about the money that you're earning and the money that you're spending. This is income, salaries, that type of thing. And of course, as I said, spending as well. Now, what you do want to watch with this is, I would say, as I look at this, be mindful of fun times, spending money on, fun things. Be mindful of alcohol, spending money on alcohol, because you may not realize it, but what you think is a $2 shot might actually be a $200 shot. Like, that's the kind of stuff that can happen with a sky like this. So you just want to be mindful around those lines. But this is also about like what's worth the cost, like what experience, what fun, what high is worth the price that it's asking. So sometimes that price is monetary. Sometimes that price is energetic. It's what's happening on deeper levels. It's in terms of the cost. As I like to say, for every high, there's a low. And so you may be in a moment, you might find yourself getting very caught up in a moment, and it's taking you on a high, substance or not. You're feeling that elation, you're feeling that high, you're accessing an energy. Now what are you going to do with it? Where is it going to take you later? Without alcohol, you can still have an emotional low. You can have an emotional crash. And so this is about understanding that and just choosing consciously. Of course, everybody likes those high experiences, but the thing is that as much joy, as much passion, as much elation as you can feel, it is mirrored by the depths that you can reach. And that's one of the great things about being a sensitive person. It's one of the great things about being a spiritual person, is that you're aware of that about yourself. And you're willing to be mindful of what energies and what levels you're accessing. That's real power. That's real self-knowledge. And I think that this week is going to carry you forward along those lessons. Of course, we also have some super harmonious energy playing out as well, with Venus and the Sun moving through the same part of the sky for you that they have been in over the course of the last couple of weeks. Now, this part of the sky for you has to do with finances that are related to grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns, benefits you may be receiving. This is good news energy. That's what this says to me. So if there was any kind of question or uncertainty around these matters, this is where some good news can find you now along those fronts. For those of you open to meeting somebody new in terms of love, this particular sky can be really good for a deep, transformative, and meaningful connection. Now, it might not manifest to anything much in the bigger picture. However, it is meaningful to you now and in this moment. Also, with this, if you are in an established bond, your spouse should get some really good news around their finances right about now. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week, Saturn in your sign will be speaking with Neptune. And this is the second of 3 conversations set to take place. And the first took place back in late November. So what takes place for you now, what transpires for you now, will in some way reflect, speak to some of the feelings, emotions, lessons that were showing up for you at that time. And going forward, it is going to be September that is sort of the deciding moment, the turning point for you in some very important ways. So as I look at this particular sky, I do think that there may be an issue or question that you're wrestling with, something that either you're trying to make happen for yourself, you're hoping will take place for you, maybe connected to issues of home, maybe family, family of origin, your parents. So right around these lines, what is your responsibility? What is it not? What do you need to feel expansive and open to life? And what do you need to feel like you have that self-respect that comes from meeting your responsibilities? So in some way, there's the aspiration of what you hope. And in another way, there is the restriction of what is and the desire to bridge that gap, to make the reality in some way more matching to something more ideal. Now that is a noble pursuit. That is a pursuit that I think people go through, these lessons people go through at several points, but really it's the journey of a lifetime. So do give yourself a little bit of a break, because I feel as I look at this that it may feel like something is particularly urgent when it may not be. And it may feel like you have to come up with an answer now when that might not be the case. Now, for a few of you out there, I do just want you to watch a little bit your health, your energy levels, your hormone levels as well. As I look at this, there is the possibility that you would need more rest. And if so, of course, watch that. But if you find that being extended beyond just a couple of days, then just make sure, that everything's okay. Check in with yourself and make sure that all is well. And if you feel, like it carries on, you're too tired for too long, then absolutely, reach out, find out what doctors say, and whatever the case may be, as part of your journey to healing and balance and feeling well. That really is key. Now, that's only going to speak to a very small percentage of you out there. And ultimately, the small percentage of you that feel tired, like the vast majority of that small percent, just getting rest will be more than enough. But of course, Saturn in your sign is really about owning your happiness. And this is going to be one of those moments, one of those defining moments in a sense, that has you asking yourself some tough questions. Now, the answers may actually surprise you, and the answers are there, particularly in your one-on-one interactions and your one-on-one encounters. So having key conversations, particularly with partners of any kind, business or romantic, really help restore a sense of fun, a sense of lightness, a sense of faith. So that's where you want to focus some of your energy. If you are in an established bond, connect with your partner, aim to talk with them, plan something exciting for your future, because it is your partner that at the very least will show up with some kind of surprise that ends up being a fun surprise at that. For those of you who are open to meeting someone new, just you having fun can open up that possibility just very quickly, making a very strong connection, a very promising connection with another person certainly can happen with a sky like this. The only place that you do want to be a little bit mindful is about you, that you are treating yourself gently, that you're treating yourself kindly. If you need, get together with someone that you trust, have that one-on-one honest conversation so that you can see yourself and you can see your future that much more clearly, that much more brightly. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week, an active sky is playing out and your ruling planet is having a conversation with Neptune right now. Not the easiest conversation to have, but very necessary. And it is conversations that are key with this energy. And in fact, I have a feeling as I look at this that you could be like feeling something and not really sure what you're feeling. And in the act of talking or in the act of typing, you figure it out. You realize, oh my God, yeah, that's what's really happening with me. That's what's really going on. And whether it's something that someone says to you in love or whether it is you that has that realization. In the introduction, I talk about the act of sharing being a transformative experience itself. Simply sharing is transformative. And that is especially true for you now, given this sky. It may be that there's a part of you that wishes that your reality matched up to the aspiration, matched up to the hope, matched up to the promise. Now, whether that's a promise somebody made to you or whether that's the promise of your life, like a more exalted kind of term, regardless, there might be some of that feeling. But remember, it's a feeling and it doesn't represent a denial. It can certainly pass and it will certainly pass. And particularly if you focus in on matters of work, on the matters of the work that's in front of you to do. So if this week you focus in on matters of your career, that's one thing. But where it comes to like your joy of doing the task, your joy of doing the work, like what's in front of you to do? Do you enjoy the process? Does it light you up? Can you have fun while you're doing it? Can you talk to others? Can you be social? Can you feel motivated? Can you learn something new? That's part of what this sky is suggesting. Find that joy with what's in front of you to do, and you'll find everything else feels infinitely easier. But not only that, you welcome up and you open up that door where real opportunity can find you and a real sense of forward momentum can start to find you as well. We do have Venus moving into your opposite sign by the time the week is over. This is super promising for you if you're open to meeting someone new, meeting somebody who represents or can be someone long-term, like long-term potential, very possible with this. And if you are in an established bond, having Venus move into your opposite sign suggests that your partner starts acting a whole lot more loving. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we've got an active sky, a beautiful sky. It's always beautiful. But for you in particular, it's a particularly active week and an important week. And that is because your ancient ruling planet, your modern ruling planet, both particularly active now in the sky. And what this suggests is something within you is changing, is moving. Something within you is feeling like you are going through a shift and you are ready for it. We have got Saturn speaking with Neptune now, and Neptune is moving through part of the sky for you that has to do with money, it has to do with finances, it has to do with what you're spending, and it has to do with the money coming in. And as I look at this, this speaks very powerfully to your beliefs around money. It speaks very powerfully to you needing to set your relationship with money right, to heal something with your relationship with money in some way to allow greater prosperity to find you. This can be a great time to have ideas and to think creatively and to even possibly have some money find you, but it's also a possibility that money could really go under this type of energy. So what you want to do is, if you are trying to put some money-making moves into action, just wait a little bit, just a little bit. I would wait until we get to at least, once we get into next week, we're going to have a full moon. We move later into the week, and towards the end of the month in particular, Pluto and Jupiter, their conversation, their super harmonious conversation starts really reaching its last exact moment. So that's where you'd rather wait until you take action. So I'm just going to advise you to hold back a little bit, because it could be you have some sort of fantastical idea and it could not go necessarily the way that you're hoping, but that doesn't mean it can't go amazingly well. There might just be one little tweak that needs to be made for things to go exceptionally well for you, particularly as we move towards the later part of the month. And be mindful of like large purchases right about now, because I have a feeling as I look at this that you may make a large purchase and then realize that that isn't really what you want or what you need. So rather than get into that kind of thing, just trust me, it's not urgent. There's nothing urgent here in terms of any kind of purchases, any kind of spending that may be there. Where the energy is really easy, is really light, is taking place where it comes to romance, where it comes to fun, where it comes to flirtation. These are parts of the sky that are lit up for you super positive ways, and are lit up for you in ways that speak in very important ways to you, heart and spirit. If ever there was a time to have some fun, to make time to have fun, this would be it. To have conversations while having fun especially can certainly light you up and can turn on a light within you, a light of creativity and a light of possibility. So make sure you're getting out there, you're meeting people, you're making friends. That's always a good thing, especially for you, but especially under a sky like this. Just doing social stuff, just doing fun stuff, like not even social, creative, fun, dancing, living it up, laying back, enjoying your life. These are the things that allow you to bring all kinds of good stuff into your life. And it is in laying back and relaxing, participating in leisurely activities, that some of the greatest advantages and greatest opportunities are set to find you now. And part of those opportunities include love, romance, flirting, as I said. These areas of life, if you're open to meeting someone new, you could have a very memorable interaction under a sky like this. So make sure you're out and about and you are enjoying yourself. That alone will open up your heart and open up options to you. If you're in an established bond, this given sky can be really nice for enjoying a softer moment. If you feel like things have gotten into a little bit too much of a rut, a little bit too much of a routine, this is an element of fun bringing itself back into the picture. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have got a super active sky, and it is in many ways speaking to the heart of you, and that is because Neptune in your sign is having its second of 3 conversations with Saturn. So the final one will take place in September. The first took place back in November. So think about what was taking place for you back in November. Some way, the events that transpire now will speak to what was happening with you, heart and soul, at that time. And in some way, as I look at this, there is sort of a need to accept what is taking place in terms of your career and in terms of your goals. You know, sometimes the universe has a greater plan for us than we have for ourselves. And it's great to have that intention to tell the universe where you want to go and to hold that. But the way that the universe manifests that can be in mysterious ways. And this week can show you some of that or put you on the path of that mystery. It's about being open, and it's about being willing to trust where it is that you are being led to go. I have a feeling as I look at this, this can suggest some feeling of restriction, some feeling of disappointment in the realm of some goal that you're trying to achieve or a promotion that you may want. And yet, as we get into next week, and there's a full moon taking place, that is when we have breakthrough energy all around, happy energy, resolution energy. So don't give in to the illusion, okay, Let it inspire you to be honest with yourself about what you really want, what's working, what isn't. Let it inspire you to realize what you really want to do, and let it inspire you to keep giving your attention and your love to what matters, what's worth achieving. So for some of you, this is going to be an easy process, a little bit of a delay, but you know it's okay. The breakthrough is coming. You can feel it. For others of you, it may be the need to be honest about a certain situation that you don't want to be in anymore. And in doing that, you liberate yourself, you free yourself to what else the universe may have for you. And what else the universe has will show up very quickly and will inject your life with a sense and a spirit of happiness as we move later into the month. Where it comes to matters of heart, matters of love, we've got some lovely energy playing out at the bottom of your chart. Now, this is the same part of the sky that might have felt a little bit unsure, a little bit confusing, a little bit uncertain in the last couple of weeks. Now that energy gives way to some lucky developments and lovely breakthroughs at that. This particular sky can be really nice for connecting with someone that you knew before, you've had a connection with before, or meeting somebody who in some way you identify with as being from home, okay? So hometown, home neighborhood, home culture, one of your own. In some way, you're thinking of this person like along those lines if you're meeting someone new. If you are in an established bond, you're going to just want to be home with this person. I just feel you wanting to enjoy yourself, wanting to be one-on-one with this person that you love, wanting to shut the door and have that downtime, and finding inspiration in that, finding joy in that, finding fun in that. You know, one of the things that a lot of couples do together is shop, right? Lots of couples go shopping together. And with a sky like this, it may be that you end up actually doing some shopping, maybe some, surprising yourself with something really nice, very possible, or being gifted something really nice, very possible. It might be something really nice. It might be an electronic thing. For buying electronics, I think that you are probably one of the few signs out there that probably would do really exceptionally well with the choices you make along those lines, along your shopping experiences anyways. But of course, if you're gifted along these lines as well, if you're trying to find the right gift for a Pisces in your life, choosing something with an electrical pulse is a good way to go. You can't go wrong with that. It would be a very good bet and very well received at that. Whether you're in an established bond or you're open to meeting someone new, that gift showing up for you is quite the possibility for you now, being surprised, lovely surprised by a statement of admiration. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Visit Amazon.com to learn about my book, Astrology Realized in English and Spanish, and shop my website, NadiyaShah.com, for exclusive The Universe is Wise and Loving merchandise and my signature jewelry line, Astro Fabulous Jewelry. Enjoy.